What a year this has been. And John Zogby is on the line now. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Bill. Hi.
It has been, and it's funny that you could take the year in review and look at the polling, the survey that we did in conjunction with you, and it showed you how big some of these issues have been this year. Yeah,
they really have. And we tested the hot button issues, didn't we? And
we
did all right.
Yeah. So let's go away from local for a moment. Your thoughts on the year, the president's year. This has been a really divided year like we've really never seen.
Never seen. Elected because he breaks all the rules, and he continued to break all the rules, and never had a honeymoon period, which is odd. The press didn't give him a honeymoon, and the public didn't either. And so first 100 days or so, when a president's numbers normally go up, his went down. So he became president, with about 46% of the vote, just under 47% of the vote, and found himself generally in the high 30s in terms of approval rating. So he lost points. I suspect those are the points from people who voted for him simply to not vote for Hillary Clinton or to vote against Hillary Clinton. But he's still there, obviously, but his numbers are still mired in the high 30s. And until overnight, no major piece of legislation, but that passed last night. Now we have to see how it's sold to the American people by a president who's not popular.
What was interesting, and I don't know what caused it, but the House vote yesterday, which it passed yesterday, and Congresswoman Tenney voted for it, there apparently was a technicality, so they're going to have to go back in and vote again today. I don't think we expect any change in votes.
No, we don't. It was a technicality, in terms of bridging the House and the Senate bill. There were still some things in the House bill that had been negotiated against in the Senate, the few things that Susan Collins wanted. And so basically what they had to do was align the two bills. And you're right. It should be automatic today.
So let's see. The Congresswoman voted for it, despite the star exemption. And if you could, Anthony Bernizzi has come out and, of course, is criticizing Claudia Tenney for her vote. What is your thought? I mean, does it remain to be seen, or do you feel this is going to be bad for New York?
Well, I'll express a personal opinion. It'll be bad for New York because we pay high state and local taxes, and we're not going to be able to deduct that. That's one of the pieces.
But why?
It's also bad for her because she. I don't know if you'd say she promised, but she gave every indication that she was not going to vote for the bill, and decided to align herself with Trump, with whom she's tried to have every possible photo opportunity.
Do you, what they say is that this really is going to hurt higher income, the average American, the average New Yorker is not really going to feel this, but putting that aside, I heard plenty of Republicans yesterday saying, well, then these high-tax states need to take a look at themselves and find a way to lower their taxes for their people that live in their state, or maybe these residents should move into a state that has lower taxes. What's your take on that?
Oh, that's a great one. When anything that involves a double step, if you do this and do that, then you'll be okay. Or anything that involves, look, honey, the bad news, I lost my job, but in 20 years the economy is going to grow again because of tax cuts, and I'll have a bigger and better job. People can't afford to think, years down the road or changing their lifestyle because of a tax bill. I mean, the bottom line is this passes. Presumably, the whole bill passes. The president signs it before Christmas. no one feels it until they start to file for 2018, which is a year from now. You've got elections in between, and I don't know that people vote on a tax cut that they haven't felt yet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
although they are saying that that some states, some people might. And this is kind of interesting how the words "some" and "might" are included in this. But listen, if it happens, I guess it would be positive. But by February, as early as February, people might begin to see lower taxes in their payroll checks. I don't know how.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But John, what you're saying is that for the average person, that check in the spring, we wouldn't see the benefit for another year, which would come after the 2018.
Which comes after the 2018
when you file
election,
your,
so it's hypothetical.
File your taxes. Well, you won't be filing 2018 until 2019.
Right.
That's right.
Unless you're like me, and then you really drag it on with extensions, and that could take you well into 2020. So
I'm with you.
So, okay, let's go local. We did the poll, and very interesting. Are you surprised by the Common Council? I'm not sure what this is going to mean because the mayor can still veto this, but this Common Council on term limits, that was one of the key questions in our poll.
You know, and I'm not sure what happened. So you have to fill me in before I can express my opinion.
Last night they voted. They put it up for a vote to basically reverse back to term limits from 12 back to 8, where it was earlier in the year. John Jacone is the one member who voted for the 12 years, who has reversed his vote. And by the way, he lost in a very close election. He'll be off the council after the end of the year. But he reversed his vote, meaning the Common Council passed this to go back to 8 years by a 5-4 margin.
Yeah, I that doesn't surprise me at all that they would do that. And it was there was only the one vote.
Took one vote, one vote, which made the difference. How about your take on the year? Whether it's local, whether it's national, there's just been so much going on, and not just local and national, but international as well. What do you take away from 2017?
We're living in the middle of a revolution that's not taking hundreds of years. It's happening in real time. And so lots of what we know and familiar with are crumbling before our eyes. But most noteworthy, I think, is the fact that institutions that people have trusted and relied upon for years don't seem to be either very popular or have people rushing to support them. But all at the same time, you have a huge revolution between the genders. You know, it's a breakdown of a patriarchal system. So many things like that happening all at once. That on one hand, there are some folks that just can't seem to adjust to that, hence elect a Donald Trump or a populist. On the other hand, people that seem to be standing on tectonic plates and not sure what's the next step. It's a tremendous period of change, radical change in our lives, and a lot of us don't know really what's going to be next.
Well, it's interesting. You have the Me Too movement, which you talk about the gender issue. This whole situation that's taken out so many in Hollywood and corporations across the country, and has caused its own difficulties in Washington. One of the big stories, and I wonder if it's going to be if it's a story that's really overblown or underestimated, and that is the Bitcoin story. We're seeing predictions of people saying that this is going to be the dominant force of currency within 10 years. It's going to move faster than the internet has moved, and you got to wonder, what would that do to governments around the world? We might be in for an economic, a currency revolution.
We are in the middle of one, and Bitcoin or some form of Bitcoin is the quote currency of the future, and it makes so much sense. You know, in a world of dominated by the Internet and then the Internet of Things, and more. Nation states and national governments become less and less irrelevant. When the world is based and the world is moving along the lines of supply chains and cities to cities and corporations to corporations and new Silk Roads and new highways and new Internet connections, that to be governed by national governments that can only go up to their borders, to be governed by rules of engagement that are obsolete. The problem that I have, and I think that many have, is putting all your eggs into Bitcoin, or you're going to watch a currency here, I think, that's going to have fits and starts. I don't know that it's a good investment for anyone. But over the, I wouldn't even say the long haul, but over the medium haul or so, this is another revolution in our lives.
Pretty crazy year. I mean, certainly you look at 2017, look back on it. It was, there was plenty of turmoil. What a year.
Yeah, there was. And locally as well, this was sort of the return to skepticism, I think, after, several years of tremendous hope and optimism.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, John, here we are in 2017, the end of 2017. We still don't have a full nano operation going.
No.
And we're still fighting over the hospital downtown. Some things just don't seem to change, which is a bit sad. But let's see what 2018 brings.
I'll be here.
Thank you, John. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
John Zogby.